Hello class, welcome to this video on percentage word problems. I want you to treat this video a bit like an answer key for the handout that you've received. I'm going to go through each of the questions that you need to answer. My suggestion to you though is that you do your best to try and do it on your own and check what you haven't understood or are having real difficulty with uh, on this video. There's no need to watch the entire video. If you know how to do some of the questions and you've checked and seen you got the right answer, then you don't need to see all of the explanation, of course. But if you're having trouble with any one of them, make sure you take a look at this video and find out what you need to know. All right, so we're going to start off with question number 2, which says each of these calculations is a step in the solution of a different percent question. Using a percent, what might the question have been? And so you should recognize this because we just covered the 3 kinds of percentage questions. And if you look at A, you can see we have 0.35 or 35% times 48. So in what case do we multiply the rate by something? Well, we multiply the rate by the base in order to find the amount. So this would be a question like, for example, what is 35% of 48? What is 35% of 48? Okay, then 3 over 4 times 88. Now 3 over 4, if we write that as a decimal, so we do 3 divided by 4, we get 0.75. And now we basically have the same question as A, which is what is 75% of 88? Okay, and the question could also be what is 3/4 of 88, but it's asking us to use a percent. So what is 75% of 88? Now what about the case in which we divide a number by the percent as a decimal? When we're doing that, we are trying to find the base. We know the amount, and the question that we're being asked to answer is what is 45 20% of? What is 45 20% of? Sorry, 45 20% of. Okay, and we find that answer when we divide 45 by 0.2. It will tell us what 45 is 20% of. Alright, so in the homework I let you know that you could skip over number 3, but we had to do number 4. Number 4 says the harmonized sales tax is 13% on an item that costs $89, and you have to pay HST. How might you estimate the HST on the item before calculating it? So the way you could estimate 13% is to think of it as 15%. And when we do that, we're going to round this also to the nearest nearest 10. So we have $90. And to estimate 15%, we can first estimate 10%. What is 10% of $90? Well, that's easy because anytime you're finding 10% of a number, all you have to do is move the decimal. So the decimal is here right now. All you have to do is move that decimal one place value over. Make that a little bit clearer right here. So 10% of 90 is 9. Okay, and now so that's 10%, but we want 15%. So what we need is another 5%. Now 5% is always going to be half of 10%, and we found 10% was 9. So half of that 9 is going to be 450. So 9 divided by 2, and we get $4.50. So we could roughly estimate, and this is we're estimating a bit over because we found 15 rather than 13%, and we use 90 rather than 89. We could estimate that it's going to be about 1350 using this method. But as I said, this is going to be a little bit high. But better to overestimate the tax you're going to pay so you make sure you have enough money when you get to the cash register. So the steps for that again were, number one was we found 10%, find 10%. How do we find 10%? We move the decimal over one time of the rounded amount. And then we find 5%. How do we do that? We divide what we got for 10% by 2. And then we add those amounts. So what is the HST on the item? Now, question B is just asking us for the actual HST. So now we're going to do that calculation, and you'll see that it's going to be a little bit less than the amount that we estimated because we overestimated. And to find HST, what we're finding is 13% of 89. So think, 13% of 89, what we're trying to find is the amount. And in order to find the amount, we have to multiply 0.13, that is the rate as a decimal, times the base, which is 89. And when we do that, we get $11.57. And again, as I said, you can see that we overestimated on the tax. And then how much is the total cost including the tax? And there's two ways that you've been already taught how to do this. The first way is to take the $89 and add the $11.57. And this is going to give you the total cost, which is $100.57. Now the other way to think about this is if actually it comes up in the next question in number 5 here. It says Anika calculated the price for an item including HST by multiplying 1.13. Why does that make sense? That's the other method that you've been taught as well. If I do 89 times 1.13, then I should get a very similar answer. I get the exact same answer. Sometimes the rounding is a little bit different depending on the size of the numbers involved in the decimals in both numbers. So if we look at number 5, it's saying why does that work? And we've discussed why this works before. If you think about it, $89 is 100% of itself, but then we need to add 13%. So we have to add 13%. And what do we end up getting? We get 113%, which is the same as 1.13. Okay, so one way to think of it is 89, then this was our tax here, 1157, which was 13%. And then this is our after-tax price, which is $100.57. And you can see these are all equal to each other. 89 was 100% of itself. $11.57 is 13% of 89. And then that means that $100.57 is 113% of the original price, which was $89. And that's why I can use 1.13 whenever I want to find the after-tax price. That is assuming the HST is 13%. In other places, the sales tax is different. For example, if the sales tax was 8%, then I could use 108% to find the after-tax. Tax, after-tax. All right. Working on question number 6, Jada bought a sweater on sale. The discount was 30%. Before the tax was added, the sale price of the sweater was $34.97. Figure out the original price and describe the strategy that you used. So in order to do that, let's analyze the question. Let's determine what the information the question is giving us and what information the question wants to know. So the first part is the discount was 30%. That's very important. When we see a percentage, I want you, as a regular habit, change it into a decimal, because when we work with it, we're going to be using it as a decimal. And then before tax was added, the sale price of the sweater was $34.97. So we've also learned that sale price can be called the after discount price. And then figure out the original price. That's what we're being asked to find here. Find the original price and describe the strategy that you used. Okay? So when we do a question like this, one thing that you can start by doing is to write down the three parts here. It's a discount question, so there's going to be regular price, there's going to be the discount, and there's going to be the after discount. Now there's a fourth part here that is the after tax, but if you notice in the question it says before tax, and this means that we do not need to worry about the tax in this particular question. If it asked us for the after tax price, then we would need to worry about it. Or if it asked us for the total price. So here we can now look at what information do I know? Do I know the regular price, the discount, the after discount? Do I know it as percentages? Do I know it as dollar amounts? So let's put a little line here, and that's not little. Let's put a little line here, and let's put percentage on this side, and we'll put money on this side. And so it says here the discount was 30%, so we know the discount is 30%. What is the regular price of itself? It's always 100% of itself, so we know that. And can we figure out the after discount price if we know the discount? Yes, we can find the after discount as a percentage is 70% because we subtract the discount from the regular price. So now we have those three values all filled in. What about on the other side? Which of those values do we know? We know the after discount price is $34.97. What are we trying to find? We're trying to find the original price. We're trying to find the original price. And we know the after discount as a percentage and as a dollar amount. Now, all we need to answer any one of these kinds of questions is two values, actually. In this case, we know the after discount. We know the after discount as a percentage. We know the after discount as a dollar amount. And now we're trying to find the regular price. And what this is saying right here is that the after discount price is 70% of the regular price, right? This 70% means 70% of that regular price. So now if you think about it, the question is actually asking you, what is $34.97 70% of? And when it's asking you that kind of question, that means it's asking you to find the base. And to find the base, we divide the amount, this is the amount, and we divide it by the percentage as a decimal. And so I will get 34.97 divided by 0.7. And when I do that calculation, I get $49.957 or $49.96. And that is my original price. Okay? And whenever you're doing problems like this, set it up like this. Put the percentages on one side, the dollar amounts on the other side, and figure out what you need to know. And very quickly, I'm just going to go over, if I had a different kind of question, I would do a different procedure. So let's say, again, the discount was 30%, and we can do this calculation. So now we have all three elements. Regular price is 100%, discount is 30%, after discount is 70%. But let's say that instead of giving us the after discount amount, they gave us the regular price, and they said the regular price was $49.96, like we just found, and they wanted to know this value down here. Well, now this question is asking you to find what is 70% of $49.96, and that kind of question is asking you to find the amount. And so we would have multiplied to do that, right? In this case, we would have done 0.7 times 49.96, right? Now, similarly, if I had 100%, 30%, and this time 30% discount, and 70% is the after discount. And this time they're asking me, so they gave me the $49.96. They gave me the regular price, and they told me calculate the discount. They want to know this part this time. So what would I do in that case? I would simply take the discount as a decimal and multiply it by 49.96. So you can see it's normally that you're going to be multiplying. If you're finding the discount, you multiply by 0.7. If you're finding the after discount, that's what this is. If you're finding the after discount, you multiply by 0.7. If you're finding the discount, you multiply by 0.3. Okay? And so those are the three kinds of percentage problems as they relate to discount questions. Alright, so hopefully I didn't spend too long on that, but if you understood, you're able to skip ahead, of course. Number 7 says Ethan had $550 in the bank. He took out $50 to spend on a present. What percentage of his money is still in the bank? Well, in this question, he had $550. What did he spend? He took out $50. He now has $500. And it wants to know what percentage of his money is still in the bank. So what that wants to find out is what percent is 500 of 550. It's asking us for the rate. So 500 divided by 550, and you will find that he still has 0.909 or 91% of his money still in the bank. How much could he have taken out if he wanted to make sure that 70% was still in the bank? So remember, he started with 550 and he wants to make sure there's still 70% left, but we're trying to find out how much he could have taken out to guarantee there's 70% left. So there's two ways you could do this. First, you could find what is 70% of 550. And if you do that, you find that 70% of 550 is 385. And now you could do 550 subtract 385. And that difference is how much he could take out to ensure that he still had 70% in the bank. Now, the other method that you could have used is to have calculated the 30% right away. What 30%, sir? The 30%, when you think of it, how much he has is 100%. How much he originally had, the 550 is 100%, so I'll do this little grid again. He wants to make sure there's 70% left at the end, which means he took out 30%. And we know the original amount is 550. And so to find how much he could take out, we would simply do 550 times 0.3, and we get the same answer, which is 165. Question number 9 says, a new employee in a company earns only 63% the salary of a more experienced employee. If the experienced employee earns $57,000, what would be the salary of the new employee? So in this question, all you're being asked to do is to find 63% of 57,000. And when we're doing that, we're finding the amount and we multiply to do it. 63%, 0.63 times 57,000, and we should get the answer $35,910. All right, and that's because in this question, all we're being asked to do is find the amount. If we write it out the way we've been doing it, A over B is equal to the rate. We can replace the rate as 63%. We know that the base is 57,000. How do we know that 57,000 is the base? Because 63% of a more experienced employee, So that means that the 57,000, which is the more experienced employee, is our base. All right, so now we can look at question number 10. It says a town of 4,827 people is expected to grow by 3.2% next year. What is the expected population for the next year? What percent of the old population is the new one? What percent of the new that new population is the old one? So to do this, we're going to make a little grid like we've been doing. This, I think, simplifies things a little bit. And what we do when we do this is we put percentage in one column and we put the other thing we're looking at on the other column. In this case, it's population. Now, the original population, which is 4,827, is 100% of itself. Okay, and so that's the best way to start off. Is what is the basic thing you're working with that is 100% of itself? You know, when you're doing these money problems, the regular price is 100% of itself. So you would start by putting 100 here and the regular price there. Here it's a population problem. The original population is 100% of itself. What other information do we know? We know that it grew by 3.2% in 1 year. So it grows by 3.2%, and if it grows, that means we have to add that amount, and what do we get? 103.2%. Okay, so now we know the original population, and we're trying to find the new population, not just as a percentage, but in a real amount, We're trying to find that value right here, right? And what do we know about that? We know that this amount here is going to be 103.2% of the original population. And that kind of question is, in fact, easy for us to answer because it is just asking us to find the amount. All we have to do is multiply. And so we take the 4,827 and we multiply it by 1.032 because that's what this is as a decimal. We have to divide this by 100 and we get 1.032, and we multiply and we get 4,981.464, and if we rounded it would be 4,981 people. A population of 4,981 people. All right, so now we can work on what percent of the old population is the new population. And actually, we already have the answer to this, but I'm going to show you how you would go about finding it if you didn't already know that you had the answer to it. See here, it's asking for percent. So let's draw up amount, base, percent, rate. That's what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the rate. Do we know the amount? Yes, we do know the amount. It says what percent of the old population is the new one. So actually what we'll start with, what we know is we know the base. You see, because it says here of the old population. So that's the old population down here, and that is 4,827 people. And it wants to know what percentage of that 4,827 is the new one. That means that's the amount. So that's 4,981. And when you do this division, you will get your answer, which will give you 1.0319 319. That's right. And so then we would round it to 1.032, right? Which is the original. It's 103.2%. Okay? So in this question, what percent of the old population is the new one? That means this has to be the denominator. That has to be the base. And you know the amount, and so we're finding the percentage. You can see we already had that answer right here. Then for C, what percent of the new population is the old one? So this is the reverse question here. So it says here, it says of the new population, so that means that the new population is our base, which is 4,981. And the old population is our denominator, so that's 4,827. And when we do that calculation, 4,827 divided by 4,981, in order to find the rate, we get 0.969, which is equal to about 97%. Question number 11, it says what is the same and what is different about how you solve these two problems. And so let's do question A here, let's do question B over here, and let's set it up as amount, base, rate. Okay, this is a good habit. If you can set this up and then fill in what you know, then you can begin to figure out what calculations you need to do. So it says here, I spent 40 and it was 24% of what I had. How much did I have? Okay, see this of what I had? That means that I know, or what I'm trying to find is the base, because I'm trying to find of what I had. What did I have? That's what I'm trying to find. And so the rate is 24%, we know, and the amount is $40. Well, when we're trying to find the base, what we have to do is divide. We do 40 divided by 0.24 in order to get that answer. Okay, and I'll let you do that on your own. But you can see this kind of question where you're trying to find the base, you have to divide. Now in question number B, it says I spent 24% of the $40 I had. What did I spend? Did it give us the rate? Yes, the rate is 24%. The rate is 24%, and it says of the $40 that I had, right? So of the $40 that I had, that means that the base is 40, and we're trying to find the amount, and to do that, we multiply. So you can see the difference in how we answer these two kinds of questions. In question A, we're trying to find the base, so we divide. In question B, we're trying to find the amount, so we multiply. So that concludes this video. Hopefully it wasn't too long and you skipped over the parts you didn't need to see. If you have any questions about any of this work, please reach out and ask.